It almost feels like I have nothing in my hand. I want people to know my struggles. I'm always conscious of like my stash area. There's a little bit of Sketch City. What's up, party people? I'm Ash in time for a breather, and in today's video, I am testing out SHEGLAM makeup, which is Shein's private label makeup brand. I've never tested it before. This is not sponsored. I spent all my own money on this, and pretty much the majority of videos I see of SHEGLAM are sponsored. So I wanted to test things out for myself, but I'm excited to test it, so let's get into it. First things first, guys, I'm going to push my hair back so we have a completely blank canvas to work on here. Okay, this is not the cutest look of all, but you know, I guess it will really test out how beautiful this makeup can make me look when this is what we're starting with, you know what I mean? So first up, we have the SHEGLAM Complexion Pro Long Lasting Breathable Matte Foundation. Now, I normally use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus matte foundation. I am a matte foundation girly. I have always been a matte foundation girly and will continue to be. I'm not really into the glass skin, Glossier, barely there, or at least looking barely there type makeup. I'm a matte girly through and through. Now, the reason for this video, like what spurred it, is I wanted to switch all of my makeup from just cruelty-free to vegan and cruelty-free, and all of SHEGLAM's makeup is vegan and cruelty-free, and it is also affordable. So I wanted to just test out some new products, especially those which I'm like starting to run out of that are not vegan, just to like switch things in and out, right? But I want to like start testing them prior to those hero products completely being used up, which, to be honest, this foundation right here, the matte Wet n Wild one, is also vegan and cruelty free. It's just, and let me know if you guys have had the same problem with this. I swear this breaks me out in like those like very like mini micro like very topical acne. I'm not entirely sure if it's the foundation itself or if it's the fact that this has the worst applicator of any foundation I've ever seen. It's like this stupid little paddle, which, please believe, even if I am someone, listen, I'm being real. Okay, I'm like doing this business, okay? I am not like putting it on my hand, putting it on a clean palette and like having another thing to wash or whatever. I'm not doing that. So I think one of the issues might be I'm obviously getting like a lot of bacteria in this when I'm like applying it, and so it's making the foundation like be like bacteria ridden, which is then leading to the acne. So I'm not entirely sure that it's just this itself. And before you guys say anything, I have tried to find the pumps you can put on it, but specifically this foundation bottle, like the screw top part of it, like this part of it, is smaller and narrower than most. Because I tried ordering some, they were like too big to fit on this, and I couldn't find any that were specifically for this type of bottle. So if you guys know any, like leave the link in the comment because I'd really love to try it actually. But back to the SHEGLAM foundation. Guys, look at this. It comes in its own sheath. Look at that. It's like a velvet little bag. Is that necessary? Honestly, when it comes to like more like accessorial, is that the word? Packaging like this, I kind of hate it because I know this is driving up the cost. Like this costs money to produce and put on here, right? But also this is a fairly inexpensive foundation already. Also, which I'm pretty surprised by, I didn't expect it, this is actually fully glass. It's like a pretty heavy bottle. So I'm wondering if this is to help like prevent this from like cracking, because the box itself doesn't have like any additional cardboard or anything to like protect this. So maybe that's the reason. Now, I also got the shade Porcelain, which is, I believe, their second to lightest shade. Their first one being Linen, I believe that's what it's called. I do really commend SHEGLAM for allowing you to buy sample sizes of their foundation so you can color match, which is enough to like fully cover your face, by the way. It's not just like a little tiny droplet of foundation. No, it was able to like fully do my face. So I ordered a few weeks prior to even like doing this to order, tested things out so I could like get the right color for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I have my damp beauty blender here, and honestly, because I don't like putting foundation on like the back of my hand, I've done that before and then inevitably touched things or like gotten like pure foundation just fully on my clothes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this directly onto the beauty blender. I'm gonna do 2 pumps and see where that gets me. Now I have already fully, ooh, I'm getting a little bit of almost like paint or paint thinner smell. It's not strong, it just like kind of like took me back there for a minute. I have already put on my skincare. I don't ever do any sort of primer or prep on my skin. Honestly, I don't really get the point of any of that. I think skincare will do you just fine if you have like a healthy enough base, which I have spent so much money, time, and energy getting my skin to where it is now, to where luckily I don't think I really have to use many products in order to prime it aside from skincare. So also I have a mirror down here if you're like see me looking, like that's why. Okay, I'm getting like somewhere, like I definitely have been able to like fully cover my face, but I'm like a full coverage matte girly. And so I think I'm gonna go in with like a little bit more. Now, the Wet n Wild one is medium to buildable coverage, but I have heard that this is like a higher coverage right out the bat. So I'm not entirely sure if that's true. Also, I do have a fair amount of red on my skin, like my undertone is fairly red, and so if you see like the difference between my chest and my face, why my face looks so freaking pale, it's not because it's like the wrong color, it's just like full coverage enough to like fully cancel out the red in my skin, which is what I want, because again, I am a high coverage matte foundation woman out here. If you can see that I have makeup on, then that's just you seeing how much work I have put in to my appearance. You know what I mean? Like it's like a showcase of like what I have, like you can tell I've put in work here, you know, to look like this. So I honestly like kind of really prefer it that way. I want people to know my struggles, okay? Okay guys, this is sitting on my skin fairly well. There's a little bit of a sheen right now. So I'm wondering how long it's gonna take to actually fully set, because the Wet n Wild one does take like a minute or two to set, which honestly when it comes to foundations, I really like. That way you have a full amount of time to blend it into your skin because you have like a lot of surface to cover, right? I'm also curious to see if this oxidizes at all, because a fair amount of foundations do oxidize on me, and they oxidize especially to be a more orange color. So I'm hoping, like the tester I used, I probably had on for like an hour to make sure it didn't oxidize, but you never know, like with the batches and stuff, sometimes it doesn't really work out that well, but hopefully it will. In the meantime, we are going to go in with concealer, which I actually got two concealers here. Now these are the Like Magic 12-hour full coverage concealer. Now I got two because I like having a pretty bright under eye, but then for the rest of my face, I like more of like my actual skin tone. Because especially like I don't have a lot of acne right now, but I do get it from time to time, or I'll just get like general irritation. So I want to make sure I can actually cover that up a little bit more just in those areas with like the same skin tone. But I did notice that there wasn't a porcelain concealer at all, which I thought was so weird. They had buttercream. So I'm like, why? That's so weird. Now I normally wear the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer, which is the one they came out with quite a few years ago to like compete with Tarte Shape Tape. This is not vegan, and this is one of two products that really spurred me to like go on this whole journey to find vegan products, because I think I have two more of these in backup, and then after that obviously I need to switch it out. But I love this concealer so much. But I got hooked on this a few years ago, prior to a lot of other, especially affordable brands coming out with essentially like a dupe of the Shape Tape. And though this is like the perfect under eye concealer specifically, like it's a little brighter than my skin tone, it does dry down like almost instantaneously. You do not have a lot of time to work with this one. And when I do my under eyes, I'll usually have to like put it on, dab it out before I go in and put it on the other eye. Otherwise, when I go to like dab it out, it has already pretty much dried. So I don't like that about it, but I'm hoping that this concealer, which is again like a more matte concealer, which I believe this is their answer, SHEGLAM, Shein's answer to the Shape Tape. All right, guys. Can you tell the difference? This is the linen, and then this is the buttercream. So this is the brighter one, and this is like the slightly darker one. These seem the same level of lightness. It's just the buttercream seems a little bit more yellow, which I don't have a yellow undertone in my skin. So maybe not the greatest. Okay, so we have the linen? No, we have the porcelain foundation and then the buttercream concealer. It's hard to like tell because this this is a frosted glass and this is not. So I can't tell if I'm seeing like no, this is definitely a little bit pinker than this one and slightly darker. So that's kind of a bummer. I guess let's just go in and see where we land. Maybe again, it will like within the foundation, like fully blend out to be somewhat of a color match. I don't know. But I'm gonna go in with linen first under my eyes here. This packaging, no, this is plastic. And this feels like the cheapest packaging I have ever felt. It is so lightweight. And the applicator specifically, it almost feels like I have nothing in my hand. It is that friggin' light, which honestly is fine because I'm not like a packaging type person as far as aesthetic goes. If it comes to like functionality, yeah, but otherwise I don't really care, honestly. Especially like this is so, again, affordable and inexpensive. I don't want to pay for like the extra like heaviness of just like different packaging, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go on both and see how how quickly this dries down. That's what I meant. Ooh, wait a minute. That had a slight burn. It doesn't anymore, but I noticed it, and I don't really have like sensitive skin when it comes to like burning of things. So, let's blendy. God, okay. This is quite a bit lighter than I was expecting. Actually, I think the foundation is oxidizing. I think that's what's happening because I think the concealer is the same color as the brightening concealer I normally use. I just think like the foundation has oxidized a little bit darker and a little bit more orange. So it's seeming like the concealer's a little bit lighter. What was this? This was marketed as full coverage, yeah. SHEGLAM concealer is soft matte finish. Yeah, a soft matte finish and a full coverage. I can tell you right now, this is not full coverage. I have quite a bit of darkness under my eyes, especially since my skin's so light, like it's pretty apparent. And this ain't it. Also, my skin is sticky. This foundation, it's been like over 5 minutes now. This foundation has not set. And in fact, it hasn't gotten any less oily since I put it on. It does say it's breathable though, but that doesn't really have any, how is foundation breathable? Someone explain. What does that mean? I assume that means it feels like there's nothing on your skin, but when you claim to be a full coverage matte foundation, the adjective breathable doesn't really make any sense because that's like completely on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going to try to go in with a little bit more concealer whilst we're here, just in like the very hollows where I have like the most amount of blue and purple pigmentation. And then I'm gonna let this set just for a second because it did not dry down that fast. So I'm hoping that by letting it set a little bit and dry down in those areas, it'll give me a little bit more coverage. In the meantime, we are going to go ahead and use the buttercream on the areas where I want like maybe just a little bit more light. Look at that. Yeah, this is far more yellow concealer and maybe like a half a shade darker. That's it. I will say as far as texture goes, this is actually like the concealer and the foundation are actually looking fairly nice. Oh, okay. I don't know if you can see the place where I put that concealer, there's actually like a little bit of like a hole, like it picked up the concealer and foundation under it. That's not ideal. All right, I can confirm that this foundation is oxidizing. I can like fully see it because now like over here where I don't even have a lot of redness, my like natural skin tone is definitely lighter than my neck, and it wasn't like that when I originally applied it. So that's not great. However, I am gonna fully set everything with a powder, so it might like help even it out a little bit. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna use linen on my forehead just to brighten stuff up a little bit here and try to like make sure this actually like is somewhat like my skin tone. I'm always conscious of like my stash area. I don't know what it is. I think it's like a trick of the light, but I always swear the top of my lip looks like darker than the rest of my face, and it makes me like I have a stash underneath going on, and I definitely don't. Oh, like what I was saying, as far as texture goes, this is sitting on my skin very, very well. It's not like clumping in weird places or anything. It almost looks like it has kind of like blended into the skin itself as opposed to just fully laying on top. Granted, this is still, again, full coverage. Like I've covered everything up here, so you can see that there's makeup on it, but not as much as a lot of other foundations and concealers. So I am so shiny. You know what? This is continuing to oxidize. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere here. This just feels terrible on my skin because it's so oily. Heaviness of foundations don't bother me. The oiliness of them definitely do. Okay, well, that's about as far as I am going to get with those today. I will say once I blended out both of the concealers, they're basically the exact same color. So if you're like worried about like, am I linen or am I buttercream? They're basically the same. It's just buttercream is a little bit more yellow. So if you're especially looking to do it under your eyes and you have more blue under your eyes, I guess just go with buttercream. That would be my suggestion. All right, one more thing before we fully set. That is a contour product. This is the Sun Sculpt Liquid Contour. I think of all product lines, this as well as that like crater moon looking highlighter is the most marketed ones I have seen. Granted, the one of this I have seen is like a liquid blush that I think is kind of a dupe of the Rare Beauty blush. And I didn't buy that today because I'm not really like that much of a blush girl, but I did get this in soft tan. Now I normally use the Essence Baby Got Bronzed, and this is also cruelty-free and vegan, and it is like even more affordable than the SHEGLAM one. The only thing is, since this is a stick, this is like a very wax-based stick, so it is highly not blendable, which especially for like filming, because I'll be honest, I don't wear heavy makeup unless I'm filming or going out. So in those instances, I don't mind the contour being harder to blend if that means it's going to stay in place a little bit more easily, because I'm gonna be out all night or I'm gonna have like lights on me that's gonna probably wash me out anyway. So in order to get like really like cut lines and especially like carve out my jaw and my cheekbones, I don't mind a less blendable, more highly pigmented contour. But I'm like, if I can get both where it's more like a buildable liquid or something like that, I'll try it out. So that's why I try this one out, despite the fact that the Essence one is still good. And if you're someone who, especially if you're like really pale like me and you're doing videos and you notice like everything is washed out on my face, try the Essence Stick Contour and it might like help you out a little bit just to make sure it doesn't look like a full ghost appearing on video. Just a little bit, Deb. I will say this is highly blendable. That's nice. It is not super pigmented, but it's not like fully blending away into nothing. So I guess that's good, but almost nothing. Me going with like a full strip. Well, guys, unfortunately, this is not pigmented enough for me. I like to be fully snatched and carved out. Honestly, I don't even mind. Sometimes, like if you really sculpt things out when you're looking on, it looks beautiful, but then you turn to the side and it's just like a full stripe, you know what I mean? I honestly don't mind that, I got to be honest, because again, I'm not interested in doing a lot of makeup where it doesn't look like I have no makeup on. Yeah, I will say because a lot of times, especially when it comes to like just contour in general, and especially like gray specific contours, finding a light enough one that actually works with like a really pale complexion is very difficult. This one is definitely great for that. It's like a perfect tone of specifically a gray contour, not a bronzer contour. That's not what we're talking about here. This is like a legit contour, like a gray shadow contour. So if you're looking for that and you've had like a little bit of trouble, then go ahead and try this one, especially if you're looking for it to be ultra blendable. And if you're someone who maybe wants to wear this over like very light foundation or no foundation at all, if you're like that type of girly, since it blends out so incredibly well, I think you'll really like this one. Oh, I guess, see, it did build like fairly nice, just not as dark and sustained as I'm used to, but I think we got there. I definitely will be able to like use this up for sure, but after that, I wouldn't go back to it, just to be fully honest. Okay, let's set this whole situation. By the way, I think we're 15 minutes in now and this still has not set. So I call BS on this being a matte foundation. It is not. It is definitely what I would consider a natural finish. So you have your dewy, your natural, your matte. So it's right smack dab in the middle. So I actually think the concealer is matte, which would make sense why it picked up on the under eye when I tried to leave it there, because it was trying to be matte and dry down, but underneath it was still relatively oily from the foundation that was under it. Now guys, like I said, I love matte, and even with my matte foundations, please believe I fully go in and stamp on. I'm not even baking at this point. I am like fully burning my face. I want to have zero amount of reflectiveness on my skin until I go ahead and put like powder highlighter on, that is, of course. Which, by the way, guys, I use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Translucent Loose Setting Powder here. And like I said, it generally does help lighten, but also add like a little bit of a pink tone to most foundations on my face. However, I can tell like the shininess of this foundation was helping it to appear a little bit more light than it actually was. Because I don't know if you can tell, because I only powdered this half here. This half looks darker now, significantly darker. So this foundation definitely oxidized. I will say also, guys, the concealers did not oxidize on me either. So I'm gonna go ahead and bronze here. And I use the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is not vegan, unfortunately. I do think I have another backup of this still, because I am someone who will will hoard things that I know I love and know work well. I feel no need to experiment or go outside of, except again in this case where I want it all be vegan. But unfortunately, SHEGLAM doesn't have more of like a luminous style bronzer, like a powder bronzer. I have seen that Wet n Wild has one that is vegan, so I guess we will maybe try that on a different video. I wasn't able to buy a SHEGLAM product for every single step of my makeup routine here, but that's mostly because they just didn't have them. Some stuff they just did not have. So like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and bronze with this real quick. Also, I'm not a blush girl, like I said, though I do have this here Tarte. I think what's it, 12-hour wear? What is this? Amazonian Clay 12-hour blush. And this is in the color Celebrated. I do know this was a limited edition shade from like forever ago, because like I said, I don't use a lot of blush ever. I always put it on, I just don't use it a lot or frequently, honestly. So this has lasted me forever. Okay, now we're gonna go in with our first setting spray. I do use two. This one, which is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus, again, rose specific one. They have a few different scents, but I mean, they all work the exact same way. I utilize this to kind of melt all the powders and everything together, as opposed to matting out and setting everything. So I always use this after I've done every single powder product, except for my highlighter, which this is vegan and cruelty-free, again, by the way, and all the scents of it are as well. And then we're just gonna make sure all my hairs on my face are set down here into the powder. All right, last powder product here. Oh my God, I hate when like you can't get this is the Moonside highlighter, and this is specifically in the color Moon Rose. Now, I actually had like a mini meltdown when I started this a few weeks ago, because my favorite highlighter is the Milani Strobe Light highlighter. This is specifically an Afterglow, in the shade Afterglow. And if you'll notice, this is more of like a pinky tone highlighter as opposed to like a bright white one. This tone of highlighter, as well as this like very, not fully blinding, not like a strip of white or like a strip of shine on your cheekbone, but like a little bit more than from a glow within type sheeniness, while also being pink, so it actually like blends into my skin a little bit better. So I thought this was not vegan and I was devastated, but come to find out it is. But I had already ordered the SHEGLAM one, so I'm like, you know what, I already have this. This is also way more affordable than the Milani one, which I think is around 15 bucks or something like that. So let's go ahead and try this one. This looks like weirdly, this looks like plastic. Ooh, it's obviously like a pressed powder, but it's really hard pressed in there. I think this might be pressed a little bit too hard, but let's go ahead and try it out. We already have it here, why not? Now, if you're curious as to why I put this product on after the setting spray type situation, it's because it will hydrate my skin a little bit enough to then pick up a little bit more, to then give me a little bit more of a highlight, especially since these are obviously like powders, right? Okay, I mean, it is shiny, I'll give it that. And it is fairly pink, like the pink tone I like. I will say, despite the fact that it seems like very pressed in here, it's coming off a lot on the brush. Not as like, it's not like caking off or anything. It is just like coming off pretty well. So actually I take that back, what I just said. I can tell that one of two things is true. Either the shiny particles in this, I assume it's the mica in this, are not super finely ground, or they are finely ground, but it's just so hard pressed in here. It's like stuck together in clumps, because I can see there's like this is like hella patchy, but I can tell it almost like made my skin look like super textured, and it's not. It's just like the product is like chunking up on my skin a little bit. I'm gonna chalk this up to being very similar to the stick contour here. I think this highlighter is very good for film or pictures or stuff where you have a lot of blinding light to where texture is kind of drowned out by those lights, but you still want to look like hella highlighted to the gods, because this is definitely a shinier highlight. Again, it's just like in person, this looks very clockable, like very, very clockable. It's giving that like stripe on your cheek type situation, which I don't particularly like, but some people do. So if you're like that person who like really wants to be ultra highlighted and you don't really care if it looks textured or not, you just want the shine, I'd say go for this. They also had, I think, like 3 other tones of this, so that's pretty darn good, especially for this price. So if you're like that, I mean, I won't use this, especially for like filming and stuff, like it'd be totally fine. Unfortunately, it's just like gonna be no rebuy for me, but we'll use in the meantime. All right, guys, all of the face products are done. We have finally made it. So up next for me, I like to do my brows, which I did go a little bit insane, and I got 3 different products here. Well, I got 2 products, but 2 different shades of one product, so I have 3 to test here. Now, this one also hurt me. This is a hero product of mine. This is the CoverGirl Soft Brown Ultra Fine Brow Pencil. This, I do not wear makeup every single day. On my work days, I pretty much only, and I mean only, put on brows with a pencil and then powder them down. That's it. That is my makeup. It takes me 5 to 10 minutes to do that, and then I move on with my day. So my brow pencil is my most used makeup product by far. So when I found out that this was not vegan, which by the way, all of CoverGirl is cruelty free, and then they do have some vegan products, this just is not one of them, I was devastated. Even more devastated than the highlighter, more devastated than a few of the other products, because again, I use this every single day. And I'm very particular about the type of product I use. Again, this is an ultra fine pencil. It's like very, very tiny. I hate kind of like the triangle looking tipped ones. Also, I have noticed a lot of, especially cheaper brands, their brown pulls way too red on me. And I have very, very cool tone brown brows. Those 2 things combined, put on top the vegan, the cruelty-freeness of it all, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like where are we landing? But SHEGLAM has an awful lot of brow products. I have the Instafill Brow Pencil, and I got this in 2 colors. I got ash brown and I got dark brown. So hopefully we'll get one that actually looks nice between those 2. And then I also got Brows on Demand 2-in-1 Brow Pencil. And this is an espresso, because they didn't have, I hate when brands do that. They'll have like different form factors of a similar product, but for some reason they put them as different colors, just like with the concealer and foundation. You're the same company. I don't understand why you would name things differently or go outside of them. If you're confident with that color and name in one line, why not just transfer it to a different line? Like, I don't get it. Now guys, these all did come plastic wrapped on top of their boxes, and I kept this one here on to just show you, because I was a little teed off at first, because I'm like, first of all, do I need this to be plastic wrapped? Not really. It's in a box and they're pretty well secured. They're like tight closing boxes, so that's already annoying. On top of that, I was really teed off because I was like, how long is it gonna take me to use my brow scissors to like cut off every single freaking film from every box? But But SHEGLAM did us a solid. They have a pull tab on these, and you can see it, as opposed to like a perforation some brands use. They have a pull tab, so then it like pulls off the entirety of the box. So then you can just slide it off. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Especially if I had my nails on, like my long press-on nails, even with scissors and tweezers, like it's a 50-50 chance if I was able to actually get any of the plastic off the boxes. So I love that SHEGLAM did go ahead the extra mile and like think about who's actually using these products and unwrapping them. I actually don't remember what this 2-in-1 crayon is. I ordered this stuff probably like 3 weeks ago, so... Oh! Okay, wait a minute, no. Okay, I'm still just as confused. Oh, okay. A few months ago, I went on another makeup journey. As much as I literally just said I don't like really experimenting in my makeup, apparently I've been really on it this year because as you can see with my brows here, can you see? I fully pluck off the outside of them because they grow in a very sad direction. I don't want them to be there. I don't like it. So I do have to like fully draw on half a brow every single day. On top of that, I don't have a lot of hair that grows in the middle of my brows. Like they're too far apart. So I have to fill in the inner part of the brow as well. When it comes to the inside of your brow, you obviously in general want it to look more like hairs. It's more clockable if it isn't than like the outside portion of your brow, or at least as far as I've been able to tell. So I looked into getting a lot of the felt tip style eyebrow pencils to help give like hair-like strokes. I will say, because I do have one from NYX that's okay. It's just, it doesn't work terribly well because it's not like pigmented enough, but I do like the look of it. It's just, it's far more finicky to use because you have to be far more precise than just essentially like drawing in an area. So that's kind of annoying. On top of that, again, a lot of those products pull auburn. They'll be labeled soft brown, they'll be labeled dark brown, they'll be labeled every single thing, even black brown I've tried to get, but they pull auburn. I don't know why. So I saw that SHEGLAM had one, but they only had it in this like twofer moment where one end is like a regular micro tip pencil and then the other end is like the little hair stroke brow things. The disadvantage of this is there's no spoolie on this, unfortunately, so that's kind of a bummer. Let's get the other. Oh, is there no spoolie on these ones? Wait a minute. Yes, okay, good deal. I do have a separate spoolie, but like, let's be honest, I'd rather just have it in one product, you know what I mean? All right, so let's go this route with these ones. I have my regular pencil here. I'm going to draw it on, and then first of all, between these micro ones, which one is going to shade match better? This soft brown, again, looks a little bit too auburn. Oh God, it's awful. This is not soft brown. That's a lie. Okay, let's go on to the other one. Dark brown, don't do me wrong. Oh, okay. Yep. All right, guys. This one here on the outside is the CoverGirl Soft Brown, a very ash tone, medium to dark brown. The middle is the, what did they call this? Yeah, which one is this? Let me just stop for a minute and say, as far as accessibility goes, I know that obviously people love their beiges and there are no colors these days. That's fine, do whatever. Again, I don't really care about the aesthetics of packaging. What I do care is about the functionality of packaging, and especially when it comes to accessibility. I am someone who like doesn't see well in general. Like I have contacts in right now, but even then, sometimes, especially if my eyes have dried out, I have a little bit of a difficulty seeing. Please tell me why. You took a medium tan packaging and slapped on dark gold lettering only onto it. How freaking difficult, and it's also like already small, so it's even worse. It's like, how is anyone supposed to read this? Where is it? Okay, wait, I'm upside down. This is, wait a minute. Wait a darn minute. Guys, I hate when brands do this. This does not list the color on the packaging itself. It's only on the box. That is so dumb. Why? You put all the other crap on here. You told me this is Insta-Fill Brow Pencil, Crayola, whatever language that is. That's fine. And then you went ahead to put, it says brush here, and then it says, what does it freaking say? It says pencil here. So you somehow managed to put all of that on your packaging, but you couldn't freaking figure out how to put the actual name of the color on the packaging? Come on. I know it sucks because then you have to have the different components for each different color, but like, is it really that difficult? What difference does it really make to you? Like the 2 seconds and 2 cents it takes to put a little bit more lettering on there? Not that I could read it anyway. anyway. But we're back. Okay, this one in the middle. This is ash brown. Again, this is auburn. This is not ash brown. This is hella red. I can't use this. It is that red. That's out. That's annoying. Now onto the dark brown one, which is here. It is a little bit more red than the CoverGirl one, but I might be able to get away with it. So I'm gonna throw this one out. I'm not even gonna try. I know it's gonna pull so red on my skin. Meanwhile, let's try the espresso pencil. Not that I bought it for this reason, because I really just bought it for like felt tip markerness of it all, but let's go ahead. Wow, quality. Like, I get that these are affordable products, but if a product arrives to you fully broken and unusable, how affordable was it? Because that seems like just money down the drain to me. I will say, as far as like products in general go, brow products, especially pencils, tend to be more on the waxy side, more on the dry side. Same with like lip liners. So I understand why this is broken, because it's just such a dry product. Because when you put it on, you don't want it to move. You don't need this to blend. That's not what the purpose of this specific cosmetic is for. So I get it, but also other brands have been able to make just as waxy and non-movable of a formula of brow pencils, and they're affordable, so I don't know what SHEGLAM's excuse is, but for now, we'll go with it. Not the worst thing in the world. Actually, because this is espresso, so I think in most other brands, it would be considered like black brown, like that's what it's trying to imitate. The outside two lines are it. I like went over the first one. I think it's actually the same tone as the CoverGirl one. It's just like a shade darker. I think I'd be able to use this for filming, because especially when I have like a full B and like put on my winged eyeliner and stuff, dark brows don't look as dark. But as far as like everydayness goes, I don't think I'd be able to get away with it. That's unfortunate, but at least I'll be able to use it. Let's do these brows. Now guys, I'm not a beauty YouTuber. I'm more into fashion, if you haven't been able to tell by the rest of everything on my channel. But I know even for like a seasoned YouTuber veteran, doing your brows on camera is the Olympics of makeup application. So we're going to try. Darn it, we're gonna try. And honestly, I am just going to try to do one brow with the dark brown micro pencil, and then one brow with the 2-in-1 pencil, just to see like where we're at, because honestly I can like blend them back and forth when we're done, but I want to see the actual colors of it side by side. So let's go ahead and do this. Now I am, again, not an expert. I just do brows the way I do brows, and that's fine. I generally like to do the underline first, and like I said, my brow generally like grows here, and I'm not kidding, like it grows that far down, and pretty short as well, but I tend to like a little bit of straighter brows. I can already tell this one is a little bit more moist of a waxy brow pencil, because especially with the matteness of everything else, the CoverGirl one does have a little bit of a difficult time transferring, just because everything's so dry. And then I just go up and fill in after that. I don't touch the inside yet, like at all. I do the tail first, which I know like some people don't do that, but I do that. And once I'm like half done with the tail, I'll go over here and just try to match the underline here. Guys, I totally just went in with I was like doing it. Oh, well, hold on. Okay, I only did a little bit. Let me go in with the other one here. Let's just see. This does seem to be the exact same formula as the actual micro brow pencil as well. Same like waxy, but not like super waxy, not super dryness. Okay, we have a base here to work with. My eyes themselves are not even, they like point up in slightly different directions. So sometimes getting like my brows and even like the wings I'm going to do to like work out is a little bit sketch city. So we'll see. So getting them even like doesn't even exist, but we're trying to get them fairly even. Okay, thoughts. The 2-in-1 is actually not necessarily darker than the micro pencil. It's just more gray tone. It's not necessarily like more pigmented. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same formula of pencil in here, of crayon in here. It's just way more gray tone. That's like the difference. This has like the the slightest bit more brown in it, which is why I think it's actually like pulling a little bit, just like a hint darker. Cause this almost is looking like a little bit of like you used a brown pencil, but then like filled it in with charcoal eyeshadow almost. This one is actually coming out on top. I'm actually fairly happy with this. As far as like the consistency of the micro pencil, I'm really happy. It's just a little bit more waxy and a little bit easier to fill in than the CoverGirl one, which for me is great. I don't mind. And even when on the weekdays, when I go to work, when I just do my brows, obviously I don't have any like foundation or matteness around it. I just have my skincare on. And so like the more creaminess of this one is still fine because I do always powder them with translucent powder afterwards, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm actually happy with this. As far as this one goes, for like the crayon portion of it, I'll use it up again during filming because I can even go in with like a brown eyeshadow to just like help out the tone of it. But otherwise, if you're someone who doesn't have like black hair, black brows, or that's not what you're going for, I wouldn't really use it. That being said, let's go ahead and first test the color of the pencil, the marker. Oh, it is a beautiful neutral brown. Yes. This is where it really counts, guys. The steadiness. I have like nerve damage, so my hands are fairly trembly as it is. Uh-oh. It's like it came out so much on the tip, so much product deposited that it looks like black. Uh-oh. Well, let's do the same mistake on this side. Why not? At least they'll be even. I'm gonna fix this. I like blend it in a little bit here. Maybe it'll look intentional. All right, I think I'm just making it worse. Thoughts. This is the line that it gave me when I just raw dogged it on my hand here. Why is it black? Do you guys see? Do you guys see how much more dark it is on my actual brow? Weird. The one thing I hate with like these marker pen, no matter what it is, because there's also like lip products that are marker, oftentimes they're basically already dried out when you get them, which really sucks and why I try to steer away from them, because I do love lip stains and generally that's like a more common form factor for lip stains. But it's like, again, you're just tossing money down the toilet at that point. I need to stop putting this on. Okay, maybe if I like brush it out, because it's already dried down. It did dry pretty freaking quickly. Oh, okay. Yep. I mean, it's still black. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna take, since this pencil is more black, I'm gonna take this and try and fill in these brows to make them appear a little bit more black. So like this black marker blends in a little bit better. It's so weird that this is appearing so black on my brows, but not black at all on my hand. Like it is very much a pale neutral brown on my hand. I don't get it. Okay, well, that did a little bit of something, but not a whole lot. So that's unfortunate. You know what I'm gonna try to do? I'm gonna take the NYX one. This is the Lift and Snatch exclamation point brow tint pen, and this is an ash brown. This is actually like a brown. So I'm gonna like try and fill it in to like at least give like a mix of hair colors. Maybe it'll help. Watch it just fully make it even worse. I think I'm making it worse. I think I'm making it worse. Keep going though. As long as it's worse on both sides, it looks intentional. All right, now let me brush it out. Let me brush her out. Don't want black brows. Well, I have black brows now, so that's not ideal. That's not the look I was going for, but we'll make it work. I will say this is something I will not repurchase again. One, because the pen itself is somehow black, and also the crayon tip on it is very like gray tone black brownness. They did label it espresso, so I guess that's more my issue, but all the other colors like were nowhere near as cool tone as I needed it to be for my brows. So this is a wah, oh well. But I will say the dark brown in the micro pencil here, amazing, great, love it. Will definitely repurchase this, and I do think will be an adequate substitution for my CoverGirl one. All right, guys, I don't have any more eye products from SHEGLAM, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do some business here on my eyes, and I'll be right back. Eyes done. Wow, look at that. When you put on eyeliner specifically, it really does something. Granted, I'm putting on so much freaking eyeliner, why wouldn't it do something, you know what I mean? So we're moving on to lips. First and foremost, I'm gonna take this cloth and put my spin on it. And then I have a foundation and concealer I have on my lips. As much as I really have a lot of nostalgia for the early to mid 2000s. Concealer lips are not really my forte, so I'm gonna get rid of that. The last and final SHEGLAM product I have, I got the Take a Hint lip tint. The only other lip product I use that isn't a clear gloss or just like a chapstick is lip tints, because if I can get away with putting something on once and then it lasting for hours on end, why wouldn't I? Again, a Love Me matte. It's far more long lasting than a lot of hydrating stuff. Now, this is in Crimp, and I did pick the one that was a little bit more pink. All right, I'll let that set for a second. This feels far more creamy than lip tints I'm used to. Even ones that aren't like the marker form factor. I used to use one, which I threw it out here like recently because it was old and it finally dawned on me how old it was. It's disgusting. It was an Ulta Beauty brand one, and it was very pigmented, though it was a little bit too dark, so I didn't want to rebuy it. And I don't even think I looked into seeing if it was vegan or not because I know I didn't want to rebuy it. But it was very dry of a formula, because obviously this is supposed to be a tint. Like, you don't need it to be super creamy. It's essentially supposed to get on, stay on for a second, then you wipe it off and move along with your day. Or at least you should have the option to do that since it is a tint. This is fairly creamy. It almost seems like somewhere in between a tinted gloss and a hydrating lip cream itself, like one of the soft matte mousse ones. Okay guys, whilst that is drying down, let's go over some of the pros and cons of SHEGLAM itself as a company. 1, it is vegan and cruelty free. Cool. 2, it is affordable. There are definitely some products that are in a few dollars up to, I think, maximum $10 for like anything that you need. So pretty affordable. Pretty comparable to Wet n Wild, though not really comparable to a lot of other drugstore brands. It is far cheaper than a lot of other drugstore brands like CoverGirl, L'Oreal, Maybelline. So pretty affordable. Cool. It is very inconvenient. It is obviously an online only business. That is the only way you are to get it, is to order something. And also, I think on Shein you have to order at least $29 worth of product to get free standard shipping. So inconvenient. You can't really get it the next day unless you pay for the express shipping. I don't like that. As far as the shade range goes of the complexion products, they had a large range. That's great. Seemed like a lot of different undertones as well. It wasn't just like one gray dark foundation and then the rest are all like some version of beige or white. They have a pretty decent range, so that's great. As far as their color cosmetics goes, like the blushes, all of this, they also have like a fairly large range of it, so that's also great. More options, that's always great. We love that. I also loved the tab on the plastic of the packaging. Love that for accessibility reasons. I didn't love the fact that there was plastic on it at all. The boxes that they are in are very high quality. They're not like super flimsy or anything, so I don't really get the point of having plastic wrap on top of the box. Maybe for like moisture or something like that, so maybe it gives it like a higher shelf life. We don't know this, but I'm just saying I don't think the plastic is really all that necessary. And again, for their concealer and foundation, they do offer little mini swatches that are very affordable. But again, in order to get them and not pay shipping, you would still have to order $29 worth of stuff, which is for anything on Shein's site. So I think a lot of people could do that fairly easily. It's just like something to keep in mind. Also, a pet peeve of mine, like I said, not writing the shade name on the actual component of the cosmetic is very annoying. And then on top of that, putting it in like essentially an illegible color of font on the packaging as well. It's like, why even bother putting anything on it to begin with? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Also, I can imagine it wouldn't really raise the cost that much in order to like put the actual color names on every single component. So they don't really have like a good excuse as far as I'm concerned for doing that. Super annoying, super weird. But you can always like look in your order history, I suppose, because it is fully online to see like what color you got last time. But if you're ordering like a lot at once, like it's not like the greatest system in the world, but I guess there's like some way to negate that. Also, elephant in the room. Obviously, this is a Shein company. A lot of people don't like Shein. Now, I do think when it comes to their personal care products that especially are from a Shein specific brand, the quality assurance is a little bit higher cheaper than like a random vendor that's just happens to be selling on Shein. I don't think like the quality of it really comes into question, or like the safety of it comes into question, at least anymore you would see with any other sort of cosmetics brand. So that's also fine, but again, it is Shein. So if you don't like some of the other practices of Shein, the staffing of it, the environmentalness of it, if you don't like that part of Shein, obviously I would understand why you wouldn't even want to buy the cosmetics. Okay guys, I'm gonna wipe off the stain and see like how well it actually stained. All right, so obviously the longer you leave the stain on, chances are the darker of a stain you will get to some degree, right? At some point it stops working. So I can't really bash it like the most for not being the most stain inducing lip stain I have ever used. The Ulta Beauty one really stains, so I love that. But it definitely did deposit some sort of color. It's just not enough to where I think I'd repurchase the product. I just think the formula that they used here is too oil-based, like too creamy in order to actually like stain your lips. Like when you use a lip stain, you want to make sure your lips are fully clean, so there's like nothing of like acting like a barrier between your lip and the stain itself. But it seems like there's a barrier in this, so I don't really understand that. So again, I'll use it, but I'm not really gonna ever repurchase it. That's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for coming along on this vegan, cruelty-free cosmetics affordable journey with me. If you want to see me continue the journey, let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, there are still products I'm gonna have to buy from other brands just because SHEGLAM did not offer them, or the ones that I bought just didn't work out today. So leave those comments down below. Also, if you have recommendations for anything, again, vegan, cruelty-free, affordable, let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.